I did something shocking, something I never thought I'd do, just to protect my own mailbox. But when your mail keeps disappearing right under your nose, you either let it slide or you fight back. And trust me, I wasn't about to stay quiet. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. It started with something small. I noticed envelopes missing from my mailbox. At first, I thought it was a mistake with the postal service. But when my bank statement and a package disappeared the same week, I knew something shady was going on. One morning, I decided to wait by the window, sipping my coffee, eyes locked on the street. That's when I saw him. A man in a black vest that read HOA Patrol strolled right up to my mailbox like he owned it. He wasn't subtle either. He popped it open, grabbed a handful of letters, glanced around, then walked off as if it were his daily routine. I couldn't believe my eyes. His name, I would later learn, was Tommy Harlan, one of the so-called HOA enforcers. The nerve of this guy, acting like mail theft was part of his job description. I stormed straight to the HOA president, Karen. She was sitting in her driveway, polishing her ridiculous car, when I confronted her. Karen, your patrol officer is stealing my mail. I saw it with my own eyes this morning, I said, trying to keep calm. She barely looked up from her car. Oh, that? Tommy's just doing neighborhood security checks. Sometimes he inspects mailboxes to make sure nothing illegal is coming through. I almost laughed in her face. That's not security, that's theft. Federal law makes stealing or tampering with mail a crime, punishable by fines and prison. You're defending him? Karen smirked and waved her hand. Don't be dramatic. He's protecting the community. If you don't like it, take it up with your lawyer. And that's exactly what I did. That afternoon, I called my attorney and asked a simple question. Can I reinforce my mailbox to prevent tampering? His answer was crystal clear. Yes, as long as it met USPS guidelines for accessibility. In fact, he suggested I install a steel reinforced mailbox post, totally legal and built to withstand impact. That's when I made my plan. If Tommy wanted to keep treating my property like a free-for-all, he was about to get the shock of his life, literally. I reinforced the post with concrete and added a discreet but perfectly legal deterrent. A low-voltage electric current, the same type used in livestock fencing, designed to startle but not injure. The trap was set. I didn't have to wait long. Within days, Tommy showed up again, swaggering down the street in his black HOA patrol vest. What happened next would change everything and expose both him and Karen in front of the whole neighborhood. I was ready. I sat on my porch with my phone recording, coffee in hand, pretending to scroll while my camera was trained on the mailbox. Sure enough, Tommy came swaggering down the street again in that ridiculous black vest with HOA Patrol plastered across it like he was some kind of authority. He didn't even look around this time. He strutted right up to my mailbox, yanked the handle, and zap! The low-voltage charge ran through the steel handle. It wasn't strong enough to injure, but it gave him one heck of a jolt. Tommy let out a high-pitched yelp, stumbled back, and flailed his arms. He cursed so loudly half the neighborhood turned their heads. The sight was priceless. I kept my coffee steady while my camera captured every second. Mail theft caught on video, I muttered to myself. But instead of being embarrassed or apologizing, Tommy stormed straight to Karen's house. Within an hour, I had both of them on my lawn. Karen marched up, arms crossed, her voice shrill as always. "You can't booby-trap a mailbox," she screeched. "That's illegal. You assaulted an HOA officer." I stood calmly and held up my phone. Funny, because what I see here is mail theft. Federal law, 18 U.S. Code Park 1708, makes tampering with or stealing mail a felony. What you're calling an officer is just your neighbor Tommy playing dress-up in a vest. And my mailbox, fully USPS compliant, reinforced, and legally mine. Karen's face turned beet red. We'll see about that. The HOA will be filing a lawsuit against you for endangering community safety. I didn't flinch. Good, because I'll be countersuing for mail theft, harassment, and negligence on your part as HOA president. And guess what? My attorney already cleared this mailbox design. I'd love to see how your little case holds up in court. Tommy muttered under his breath, still shaking his hand from the shock. Karen hissed at him to shut up, then stormed off, threatening me with serious consequences. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. True to her word, a week later, I was served papers. Karen and Tommy filed a civil complaint accusing me of reckless endangerment and community intimidation. Their lawyer tried to paint me as some kind of paranoid vigilante with a dangerous setup, but what they didn't count on was evidence. My video footage clearly showed Tommy opening my mailbox without permission, pulling out letters that didn't belong to him, and then getting startled by a legal low voltage deterrent. My attorney had also gathered statements from neighbors who admitted they'd lost mail recently. The courtroom showdown was coming, and Karen was about to learn that her HOA badge of power didn't mean a thing in front of a judge. The day of the court hearing, I walked in calm, while Karen and Tommy strutted in like they were about to win a trophy. Tommy had that same black HOA patrol vest stuffed into a briefcase like it was going to be some kind of evidence. Karen whispered furiously to him as if she were the general and he the loyal soldier. The judge came in and the hearing started. Karen's attorney wasted no time. He painted me as a dangerous homeowner who had created an electrified trap to intimidate community members. He pointed to Tommy as the so-called victim, claiming he suffered trauma from my mailbox. Tommy even raised his hand in dramatic fashion and muttered, "I still can't feel my fingers sometimes." I almost laughed out loud. Then my attorney stood, calm, collected, and surgical with his words. He pulled out my phone, connected it to the court's monitor, and hit play. The entire courtroom went silent as the video showed Tommy walking up, opening my mailbox, and yanking out letters. Then the zap. Tommy's scream echoed through the speakers, followed by my steady voice. Mail theft caught on video. The judge leaned forward, eyebrows raised. "So the plaintiff admits he was opening another man's mailbox?" Karen shot up from her chair. "It's HOA jurisdiction. We have a right to inspect." The judge slammed the gavel. "Sit down. HOA jurisdiction does not supersede federal law. Mailboxes are the property of the United States Postal Service once installed. Tampering is a federal crime. I will not hear otherwise." Tommy slouched back, face pale. Karen looked like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. My attorney continued, citing not only 18 U.S. Code 1708, mail theft, but also 42 U.S. Code 1983, which protects individuals against deprivation of rights under the guise of authority. He made it clear, Tommy was no officer. He was a neighbor in cosplay, enabled by Karen's reckless leadership. The judge didn't even let it drag on. This lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, I find grounds for counterclaims. The defendants, Mr. Tommy and Miss Karen, are liable for harassment, attempted mail theft, and abuse of HOA authority. You will pay the defendant's legal fees and restitution for damages. Karen's jaw dropped. "Restitution? You can't do this to me. I'm the president." The judge looked her square in the eyes. "You're a president of a homeowners association, not above the law." Court adjourned. The gavel cracked like thunder, and just like that, it was over. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt lighter than ever. Neighbors later told me the HOA held an emergency vote. Karen was stripped of her presidency. Tommy was banned from HOA patrols, and I was cleared of everything. Now every morning, I sip my coffee on the porch with my mailbox standing tall. A little reminder that sometimes the best justice is letting the truth shock them harder than any current ever could.